Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello. Liverpool Football Club have just gone to Turf Moor and they have beaten Burnley by 1-0. I'm delighted to be joined by Fergus in Portugal to react to this. If you've got any questions or comments, put them in the comments section on YouTube. Subscribe, all that stuff if you want to. Cop On podcast is just for you, the Liverpool fans. Connect to Liverpool fans across the globe. And Fergus, this result, I mean, you can look back on seasons, it's easy to look back at points dropped and, looking back at, for example, the points we dropped against Chelsea, the points we dropped against Manchester City and regretting them dearly. But it's results like this that are equally important, that are positive results, where you show so much character and fight, and you come away with all three of the beautiful points that's so satisfying. And I'm delighted at how we got the job done today. How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling really good. I agree with you. It was three hard-earned points, relatively comfortable against Burnley. Burnley is never comfortable to play against, but today, considering some of the matches we've had previously, it was relatively comfortable. You felt in the last 10 minutes, the last 5 minutes, they'd really run out of steam. So very tough conditions, bad weather, wind and rain, which affected us obviously more than them because we're trying to pass the ball with more accuracy. But yeah, it was a relatively comfortable 3 points. 1-0 away to Burnley is a good result for any team.
It's a marvelous thing. It's a marvelous thing. I mean, in their three previous matches, Burnley had got 3 draws, including draws against Manchester United and Arsenal. So they were in good form for them. They signed the big man Wout Weghorst, and it was so. It's a beautiful result because if you think about all the Burnley team, I think they all got 7s and 8s. I would even give Weghorst maybe an 8.5. I thought everybody played well for Burnley. They created a few things, but still Liverpool were just too strong for them. What did you make of Burnley's performance?
I thought it was, well, I mean, I was listening to Anfield Rap as I often do during the week. They provide such good content. And Neil Atkinson made a good point that Burnley is probably the best 20th side in the division that we've ever had.
Yeah,
Um,
true.
yeah, so which is really true. And he said that after they played Man United, and Man United got a draw, struggled to a draw. So well done to Man U. But so yeah, they were a really tough test for us today. They compete, they compete ruggedly, and I think it's a testament to how well we competed as well that we were able to match them and basically just put them down gently and with a whimper in the end. So yeah, Burnley were very good, especially in the middle of the park. I mean, I thought the middle of the park today and the central defence were our strongest elements. But they also, it was a really good competition in the middle of the park with Brownhill and Westwood against Fabinho and Keita and Henderson and Thiago when he came on. So yeah, tough game against Burnley. Nick Pope is one of the best goalkeepers in the division. He didn't have a lot to do today. We did have quite a number of attacks, but he's a very difficult goalkeeper to beat. And Burnley were good, as you say. Weghorst, what a signing! Good, big, tall player, but good on the ground. Really links the ball well. If he got more goals, he'd probably be playing for a top side. He also doesn't really have pace, but he's an excellent target man. So I don't expect Burnley to get relegated this season. I was watching Norwich yesterday against Man City, and they were absolutely dreadful. If Burnley are the best 20th place team in the Premier League ever, then I'd say Norwich are the worst 17th place team because they can't defend for their lives. They just seem to lack any commitment to the cause. I don't know what's wrong with them mentality wise. I've seen them in a few games this season, and You know the way, you know, when a player sort of has a half-hearted attempt to block a cross or to get over to cover his man. That seems to happen all the time with Norwich. I don't know what it is, if it's fitness, ability, confidence, or commitment, but there's something fundamentally wrong with how they with their culture or their play as a team. So I mean, Burnley have that have commitment in spades. You know, it comes from Sean Dyche. They're an ugly team to play, an ugly team to watch, but you know exactly what you get. You're going to get a 4-4-2. I think they're the only team in the division now that plays with a right-footed right winger in Aaron Lennon, and today they had a left-footed left winger in Maxwell Cornet in a 4-4-2, which is the old style. You know, I grew up. I was playing football in up until the 90s, and it was always a 4-4-2 with a left-footed guy on the left of midfield and a right-footed guy on the right of midfield. Even Gerrard in his early days, you'll remember, and Beckham used to be right-footed players on the right of midfield, so they could swing those balls in to a centre forward. And Burnley are still playing that way, you know, 20 years later. But really, what marks them out is their commitment and their belief in what they're doing. And it's you know, it's basically the best of old-fashioned British football. Not a lot of guile, but they have quite a lot of quality. You know, you saw in tight situations today they were able to knock it about a bit and keep possession a bit. So, you know, fair dues to Burnley, but and it's good to get them out of the way, really, with a good result.
Absolutely. No, you mentioned their midfield as well. I was really impressed with Brownhill and Westwood. They're absolute snappers, and I
Yes.
think Weghorst. I mean, if he does, I mean, let's hope he does recover from whatever knock it was that he got towards the end. But I mean, you know, he can give anyone. He's an upgrade on Wood, and I like Chris Wood. I think he's been a what do you call it, like a solid performer, a consistent performer over the years. But let's take you back to the beginning of the game. I mean, before the match, I had the jitters, as I often do. You know, there were some interesting first, pre-match stats. For example, Burnley hadn't won a home league game since January 2020 that had been played on a Sunday. So all of the omens looked good. Liverpool won Liverpool had won our last 5 Premier League games against the side bottom of the table by an aggregate score of 12-0. So now you can make that 13-0. It was a great result, a beautiful result, as we said. But before the match, I was a little bit nervous when the team dropped. It was interesting, maybe, that Matip was chosen over Ibu. There were various things that caught my eye. Matip started over Ibu. There was no Thiago, Naby Lad back in, and the traditional front three, Firmino, Mane, and Salah preferred to Jota. Is there anything that caught your eye with the starting lineup? I mean, you know, were you like me? You were just perfectly happy with whatever Klopp chooses?
Yeah, very interesting. It's very hard to predict a Klopp lineup, as we all know. He very much has his own mind, and of course he does. He sees the players in training, but it was fantastic. It was really interesting today to see. Basically, he chose, if I'm not mistaken, our Champions League winning lineup. So, despite the fact that we have so many players back from injury, such as Elliott, and we also have Thiago, who's a relatively new signing. We've got Roman Diaz on the wing, who's also a brand new signing and was probably man of the match in his debut. So, despite those people competing for places, he's basically thrown out the first or put the first 11 on the field, the classic Liverpool first 11. Okay, Keita comes and goes depending on whether he's injured or not, but the other 10 pick themselves really. Gone with the front three, which is always the front three, and said, "You guys, listen. You're the guys in possession. You guys have the shirts. There may be some hungry people snapping at your heels on the bench, but
It's okay. You've got some sweet
Good
bossa nova
morning,
music.
the San Antonio police are.
Okay. Oh, okay, that's right. Oh, blimey. Okay, you.
That was a random Bluetooth speaker came on from someone
Okay,
in
well,
the house.
well, that's good. That's good. It's good to know.
Yes.
But no, good. No, great.
But yeah,
Yeah, go on.
so dropping, yeah, when the team sheet dropped, I thought that's really interesting psychologically speaking, that he's chosen the first 11, including the front three, and he's told the others who are on the bench, this is the side you have to break into. And we played really well for the first 10, 15, 20 minutes. I thought we were excellent. Burnley then came back into it, made it difficult for us. Just looking at the shots, total shots, it was 12 to Liverpool and 8 to Burnley. They had 5 on target. We had 4 on target. Although most of their shots on target were pretty easy, pretty comfortable for Alisson. He made a couple of really good saves, but I think both of them were offside in the end. And Liverpool have the best offside record in the league. We're always catching teams offside, and we've done it again today. So yeah, in terms of the lineup, not unexpected. Henderson over Thiago in midfield. You'd expect the graft of Henderson, and I thought Thiago made a difference when he came on. He was class. His first touch of the ball was just a chest and then a pass to Salah, and I thought Salah was fouled there, but it wasn't given. So yeah, as I said, the interesting thing from the lineup is he's thrown on the first 11 and told those who have come back from injury and the new signings, this is the side you've got to break into, and that's really consistent with what Klopp has done over the years.
Yeah, totally, absolutely.
Picking
Yeah,
his
we can talk
main
about
lads. Yeah.
that penalty shout. I mean, let's talk about it now. We don't have to go through things, as they happen. I mean, it's one of the big things from that first half. The thing is, right? Okay, so I was teaching last year the head of VAR in France, and it was fascinating as a referee, career-long referee. Here in France. Oh, I think I lost Fergus there. There you go. I guess I'll just have a pause for a moment. I will after 12 minutes. Okay. Let's just have a look at some stats then. Share this screen. If you're in the comments, please let me know if you're there. If you've got any questions, let's have a look at a few stats whilst we're waiting to see if anyone can come back. There's Fergus.
On now.
Oh, hello. Are you back?
Yes.
All right.
I should be back. Yes.
Yes, excellent, marvelous. Yeah, you're back.
Okay.
Excellent stuff. So yeah, let me just. Hang on. I'll stop sharing my screen. So yeah, I was just saying that. What was I saying? The penalty. Yeah, let's talk about the penalty.
Yeah.
So there's a thing. Okay, I was teaching the head of VAR last year in France, a career referee. It was very interesting guy, and it was really interesting to hear the referee's point of view. The French referees, of course, and every week we would sort of analyze what went on in Ligue 1 and analyze what happened in the Premier League. And what he explained to me time and again. What he explained to me time and again is that, it's ambiguous, the clear and obvious error thing. And in his opinion, and in my opinion, what the wording should be, is it the correct decision or not? That should be the wording. But because if you look at that incident back again, it's not Martin Atkinson's fault at all. The angle of the connection, the angle where he's in a good position, the referee. The angle where he's looking at the incident is he can't see. Mo Salah's body is in the way. He can't see Weghorst connecting with his ankle, which he does, and he trips him, and it's a foul. But by the time it goes to VAR, all VAR is looking for is there a clear and obvious error? Not was it clearly and obviously a penalty, which is what it was. Therefore, the referee the VAR will do everything in their power to protect the on-field referee by basically saying, no, I'm not going to call you out. This isn't, even though he didn't see it, it's not an obvious error because there was minimal contact, and you could subjectively say that because the contact was minimal, it wasn't a penalty, but it was 100% a penalty, Fergus. And I just wish that they would change this freaking wording.
Yeah, well, that wording or that application is only really done in the Premier League.
Oh no,
Because
it's worldwide, no, because it's
is
clear
it?
and obvious. Yeah.
But I was watching other tournaments such as the African Cup of Nations, and they would genuinely send the referee to look at the screen to genuinely make a decision based on what he saw.
That's a different That's something that they could have done and should have done, is sent
Exactly.
Martin Atkinson to have
That's a
another
problem
look.
with the culture and the way it's applied in the EPL. It's like they're trying to protect their colleagues rather than trying to get the right decision.
Exactly.
And it's a problem with their mentality. It's, everyone would be happier if they could just get the right decision more often. But they seem to have the referees in the UK, Mike Riley, and the forget the name of the company, but it's a private company which is contracted to the Premier League, and I think something like the Match Officials Limited, and
The PMOL, yes,
PGMOL.
Professional Game Match Officials Limited, yes.
Yes, it's a limited company, so they have this trying to protect this attitude. They're trying to protect their position. They feel under siege. They're always trying to, it's almost like they're trying to have a culture of just trying to cover up and cover their asses rather than actually trying to do the right thing. So that company should just be sacked off, and they should just get in, even if they have to hire referees from all over the world. They should. You get players from all over the world in the Premier League. So why don't they hire a different contractor who gets, the 12 best referees in the world or 20 best referees in the world, and hire them to come over and work?
Yeah.
So
Or
it's a huge
ex-referee.
problem.
I mean, just the VAR parts they could subcontract, couldn't they?
Yes, exactly. We have, I mean, my brother does, as his job, he covers a lot of La Liga and European football, mainly La Liga. And he's always told me that the Premier League has got the worst referees in the top 5 leagues in Europe. And I don't watch enough football of the other leagues to know that's the case, but I certainly believe it from what I've seen.
Yeah, totally. But enough about the referees. Let's talk about the positive things, the positive performances from Liverpool. I don't know. There were lots of positives, but let's talk about the goal. I mean, it came at a great time, as goals always come at a great time. This one happened to be in the 40th minute with Trent, with the wind blowing the ball away from the corner triangle thing. And, when he finally got the ball to settle, he whipped in a beauty of a ball. And what was non-Burnley-esque, not that that's a word, but it is now, was the fact that they weren't very reactive in the box compared to Liverpool. And both Mane, with that stooping header, and Fabinho, to not just once but twice get his shot away on target. I thought it was a brilliant goal because, you need great reactivity in the box at all times, whether you're attacking or defending corners. And I was just so happy. Big Fab, his 5th goal in 7 games. What's going on? Why has he turned into Ian Rush, Fergus?
Yes, it was sheer commitment from Fabinho at set pieces. And, I think without him today, we could have really struggled to score because we didn't have that many clear-cut chances. So, I was just marveling at his mentality today. He was determined to force that ball into the net because he had the first shot. It came off Pope, and then he was still going at it and got the rebound off Pope into the net. And when you think about it, we didn't have very many other clear-cut chances. So whatever's going on, he's got a huge determination from set pieces. I don't know. Maybe he's placed a bet on himself to get 10 goals this season, but he seems to be highly motivated to score anyway.
Yeah, Absolutely superb stuff. So Fabinho, Naby Keita, and Jordan Henderson. What did you make of Hendo with his, was it 60 minutes or something on the pitch? What did you make of him today?
I don't think Hendo had his best game today. I thought the whole right side was off, especially Trent and Hendo. Trent had something, just looking at it now and who scored, he had something like 69% pass success. And we know he always tries the risky ball. That's part of his his role in the team is to be a creator. Um, so he was Trent had one of his worst games that I've seen in a long time for Liverpool. Almost nothing came off apart from, did he get an assist for that goal? But anyway, almost nothing came off. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the corner was great, but it was Mane's header who sort
That
of
was it,
flicked it,
exactly. Yes.
to Fabinho. I mean his on his passing completion, just quickly before you carry on, but it was 70. Sorry, his average over the last year is 74.6%. So yes,
Hmm.
60. What did you say? 69%, was it?
Yeah, 69 today.
Okay, yeah. So I think that's not. I mean, that is way below his average. 5% is a big drop off. So yeah, you're right. He wasn't quite on it, but I think the wind had a big factor in that because he often plays those long, beautiful floating passes in the air, and I think that maybe that was a big problem.
Yeah,
But
and as for Henderson, Henderson didn't look quite fit today. I think it was the right decision to start him because although he's not the footballer that Thiago is in terms of this, just the beauty and touch that Thiago has, Henderson can get about the field. He's got longer legs. He's more mobile than Thiago. So it was the right decision to play him, but I thought he did well without having an outstanding game. Our right side was, as I say, with Trent, Henderson, and Salah. Salah had hardly any of the ball. Again, as you say, possibly with the wind, he wasn't he wasn't getting the 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 feed that he normally gets from Trent. And it seemed Burnley did most of their attacks down the left as well with Cornet and Peters, and Brownhill was on the left as well. So that was a tough side for Liverpool. And Henderson did his bit for 60 minutes, but I thought Thiago was excellent when he came on and really uh, moved us up a level in terms of our ability on the ball.
yeah, great. Yeah, absolutely. I thought Thiago was good when he came on. About Mo Salah, yeah, he ended up with 44 touches in the entire match. His passing completion was 71.4%. But Henderson's passing accuracy was only 50%, which is way below his average on after 36 passes. He's normally up in the 90s. So
Yes,
passing
exactly.
wise, but
Very
credit
poor.
to Burnley. Credit to Burnley.
Hmm.
You're absolutely right. Brownhill was there, Westwood as well. The interception and the snapping they did, and also, I don't know, just their general organisation was very good. So well done to them. But yeah, Mo Salah, he had 28 passes, 71.4% passing accuracy, two crosses, one key pass, and in terms of shots, he only managed one. It wasn't on target. One key pass. Bobby Firmino, he's staying with the forwards. I mean, do you think he linked the play well enough, or was he? I thought he looked a little bit rusty today. I don't know, if rusty's the right word, but it's just not quite as clinical as he could have been. Not in terms of his finishing, but in terms of his passing, in terms of keeping everything ticking and fluidly moving along. He wasn't quite at his very best today, I thought, but I'd still give him about a 6.5 out of 10. I don't know. What would
Yeah,
you say?
looking at, I was actually impressed. I know it's always subjective when we watch a player and watch a match to try to judge his performance. So I thought he played well today. I thought he was one of our better players. But according to who scored, he gets whoscored.com, he gets a 6.8, whereas Fabinho gets a 7.4. I thought Fabinho was our standout player today. And according to who scored, that I always like to check in with websites like who scored to see if my eye test is borne out by the stats. Stats don't tell us everything, but in this case, it is. Fabinho got a 7.4, and he was our outstanding outfield player, and Alisson was our man of the match with a 7.6. Not really sure why that was. Alisson was very good today, but I thought a couple of the saves were called offside. But Fabinho was excellent today. Apart from the goal, he really knitted things together in a tough midfield battle. I thought Firmino did well today, quietly knitting play. I mean, we were under a lot of pressure. Burnley play this type of, I don't know what you call it, but I would call it fight ball. I think Klopp calls it fight ball, where, you know,
Fight ball.
yeah, where the ball has to go up in the air, and then it's a challenge, and then you fight for the second ball. That's how Burnley play. You know, ball into an area, a challenge, a clash, and then a fight for the second ball. So yeah, it's fight ball really, and you know, Fabinho did well against that, and Firmino kind of glided around the pitch, just trying to link play in amongst all the fight ball, and I thought he did well, but you know, not one of his better games. But for me, Fabinho was our man of the match, and I also thought that Van Dijk and Matip were both imperious today. They were brilliant
Yes.
today.
Yes.
You know, we're up
Absolutely.
against big horse. Rodriguez is probably a bit long past his best. Yeah, but so yeah, I think you agree with me that they were both fantastic today. And I still think Matip doesn't get enough credit. You know, you hear a lot of Liverpool fans, long-standing Liverpool fans, hark back to Joe Gomez. Oh, there was a time when he was the second best centre half in Europe, and you know they still yearn for the Gomez Van Dijk partnership. But I think that in Matip, we probably do have the second best centre back in Europe and the best centre back in Europe. You can't really touch Matip for his defensive abilities and his passing, his dribbling. You know, I think we should really be grateful for Matip. That there's not enough credit given to Matip. People talk about Konate, they talk about Gomez as if Matip is just a placeholder until one of them sort of, you know, suddenly comes into the team and asserts himself. But I mean, uh, I think Klopp certainly agrees, or with me, that Matip is his first choice centre back beside Van Dijk, his first choice partner, and Matip has been our second best centre back since he signed for the club.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's an really interesting one because Matip was brilliant. There were two. I mean, you know, really noticeably, there were those two brilliant clearances from crosses towards the end. You know, the last few minutes. But then there's all this stuff that's less noticeable about Matip, like when he's just in the right place at the right time and he's able to just sort of stride away with the ball rather than, you know, it's nothing spectacular. He's just perfect. It's perfect defending. He doesn't even have to really try apart from just read the game. His positioning, the offside line was really good today. Really, really good because, you know, Burnley tried again and again the long ball, long ball, long ball. And, you know, the understanding between Virgil, Joel and the fullbacks is superb. I mean, personally, I would have probably played Konate. Obviously, we don't see the players in training, but I would have played Ibu and saved Joel Matip for Inter and then the game after in the Premier League. But just because Ibu, I love the way that he's sort of, you know, when the defending, the real gritty, hard defending is needed, he sort of, you know, he rips his shirt off and he's like, yeah, I'm into this, and he's well into it. He's well into hardcore defending, whereas Matip is more just, you know, composed. And, you know, I thought, you know, Ibu would get down to the nitty gritty of away at Turf Moor, but then on reflection, of course, Jurgen Klopp is you know, of course he knows infinitely more than I do, but he was entirely justified because Matip's coolness is what we needed at times, especially, you know, under pressure. I'm a nervous eater, Fergus. I'm a nervous eater, and with 5 minutes to go, I went to the cupboard and I got all these corn cakes from the cupboard, and I was sort of slathering them with peanut butter and jam. and they sort of, and at one point there was a big spill as I sort of spilled them all over the floor, and then I had to pick it up and still try and watch the game. It was a nightmare. It was an absolute. I had a nightmare. But were you nervously chomping on some beautiful Portuguese food like pastéis de nata, or were you cool as a cuke with those last few minutes?
No, the last 10 minutes, including the extra time, after 80 minutes, I was pretty cool. There's always obviously a chance that Burnley might get a chance, but Liverpool seemed to have it well in control, especially after the 82nd, 83rd, 85th minute into injury time. So I wasn't worried at all. But but I also had a couple of those corn crackers and a few
Man.
cups of tea during the match to keep me going. And it is hard. It's a hard watch sometimes to watch Liverpool. As Klopp says, this is Liverpool FC, and we always make it hard for ourselves. And felt the same today. Could have been more comfortable. And I also thought, I think Andy Robertson deserves words of praise today. I thought he was excellent on the left, down the left today. He only gets a 6.9 according to WhoScored.com, but I just thought he was always a threat going forward. So much energy now. I think Simicast in the background has really inspired him to back to his best form. And I thought also a word for Naby Keita today. I mean, if Keita plays like that every week, we really do have a good midfielder. He was unspectacular, but he was really solid. He was very strong, very hard to dispossess. And, that's the type of midfielder we need, a kind of a genie replacement. And if Keita can stay fit and keep performing like that, then we have a very, very solid starting midfielder today. And we don't ask for much more from Keita than that. We do know he's got a very good shot in him, especially from outside the box. He's accurate. He had a good shot today, which Pope saved really well. I think Keita was disappointed he didn't hit it a bit harder. But that's exactly the type of performance that we want to see from Keita going forward. Solid, dependable, in the right place, defensive, holding the ball up, just like Gini did over the years. So, big praise for him today. As for Mane, I thought Mane was quiet today, probably suffering a bit of a African Cup of Nations glory winner. Trophy, champion, hangover.
He's still on the come down, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But he did okay. It was tough for our front three today because it was all about the midfield battle, wasn't it? So they didn't get a lot of chances.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Sadio Mane still managed 3 shots, though, which is impressive. But the most was Fabinho with also 3, 2 on target for Fabinho, which is both of those shots that he had in a second that led to his goal. Had Sadio, 3 shots, 1 on target. And no, he's really, really, really good. Yeah, Naby Keita, you're exactly right. We do need that kind of keep it simple, be muscly, be present. And I thought, I do think, there is something to do with like nostalgia for Gini Wijnaldum. I mean, and rightfully so. I mean, he was fantastic. He was fantastic. I'm not playing him down, but because we always look on who scored and we look at the passing statistics, etc. There were games where the nickname of a bit harsh, but of Ghost was a little bit. Oh, someone's dropped the corn crackers. Okay, no, it's okay. Don't worry.
Okay.
There are more in the cupboard.
Yes.
He would have about, sometimes as low as 27 touches in a match. Naby Keita had 85 touches of the ball today. If you compare to Fabinho, who had only 68, Henderson in his 58 minutes on the pitch had 48 touches. Thiago, when he came on, had 35. So Naby Keita, 85. He was very visible. He was very present. And yeah, as you said, hard to dispossess. 90.1% passing accuracy. Absolutely brilliant from Naby Lad. Yeah, he's from 71 passes. So yeah, he was really, really good. Really, really, really good. Yeah, and you mentioned Virgil in passing, really. But I think Virgil, I mean, he's strutting his stuff like John Travolta in a disco these days. He's back to his very, very best, in my opinion. Wouldn't you say?
I would say, in fact, I think his game has changed slightly. I'd like to see it clocked, his speed, but I think he might have lost a yard of pace. I'd hate for our opponents to hear that, but he makes up for it. Well, first of all, Liverpool have the best offside line in the league, so that really helps because every time you see him turning and running back, inevitably 9 times out of 10 the guy's offside anyway. Whoever gets behind him, but he doesn't seem as fast as he was before. Say it quietly, but he does seem to have make up for that with his strength and his positioning and his ability to just get a big one of his big body parts in the way, and just knock the ball away. Use his physique to bully players out of the way. Generally, fairly. It's very rare you see Van Dijk give away a free kick. So he's still the best. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think he's lost a bit of pace?
Yeah, well, I think perhaps half a yard or something. Like
Yeah.
he did look definitely slower when he was slowly making his way back.
Hmm.
But now I think, I don't know. I don't know if he's really been tested enough with like a proper sprint, but because he was always deceptively quick anyway. He sort of looked
Mm.
like he was gliding through the air. So I'm not sure. Maybe, yeah, maybe. Klopp's comments are just in. Klopp said it was a perfect afternoon, raining and windy. We scored from a set piece, and it was a brilliant goal, to be honest, a counter pressing goal. Everything today was set up to be a banana skin for us. The balls in the air were so tricky to defend because the wind came from all directions. We played the circumstances. Sorry, we played the circumstances rather than suffered from them. And that's a wonderful thing to say from Jurgen Klopp, who does have a marvelous gift for saying exactly the right thing. But there's something about, the way that he's instilled this mentality, how he's always saying you have to use disadvantage to your advantage. That's the only way it makes sense to Jurgen Klopp. And he's transmitted this to the players, hasn't he? And you've got to credit Klopp for instilling this mentality in everyone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we saw from our title-winning season and the season before, when we almost won the title, went within a point or two of City, that these are the types of games you have to win when the elements are against you, the wind, the rain, a tough away side like Burnley. So this can go down as one of the most important wins of the season. Of course, City are, I mean, they were 12 points ahead before kickoff. I often hear people say that City are 6 points ahead, but I mean, we have a game in hand. They're back to 9 points now. We have to win that game in hand to bring them to 6 points. City don't look anything like dropping any points. We know that they do have a tendency to blow up on occasion, but at the moment, with the size of their squad, the quality they have, Raheem Sterling, one that got away for us, scoring a hat trick yesterday. They just cruised and eased past Norwich. I know they do have a tough. They've got pretty easy fixture list now, but coming up around the time they play Liverpool, they've got a tough run of games. So, we just have to keep on going, and now that Liverpool are, touch wood, back to our strongest squad, we really have to win every match from now to the end of the season, go on a huge winning run in not only in this competition but in the Champions League, and hope that City start to drop points.
I think they will. I think we can get them. I think psychologically we've got the advantage. Yes, Man City are unbelievable. They're a brilliant football team. The fact that Liverpool have now lost twice in 46 matches, which is an incredible statistic. And still, Man City are that far ahead. It shows you how incredible they are. But I just think that if we were to win and win and win, and so we win at the Etihad and go 3 points behind them, I think they might choke. They might choke at that point. But yes, of course, it's a long shot. Of course it is. But I think we can focus because I think all the momentum in a weird way is with us because all of our players are back, all of our players are fit. We've got through January with some good results. We've started February really well. I think the Champions League, which we'll talk about in a minute, is going to be good for us. It's looking good. We've got the right style of play for the Champions League, and our strength in depth with Luis Diaz coming in. The players are going to be fighting each other for places. I really think that at the same time as the pressure is off for us, like our players are not expected to win the league, so we can relax and play the games. I really think everything's playing into our hands, and all of the pressure is on City. And at one point, they're going to panic a bit too much. I mean, I don't know. Am I just being overly optimistic, Fergus?
No, I think we do have a good point, and we know that Guardiola is already bringing up Liverpool in the press conference, and he's willing to talk about Liverpool. They're clearly in his mind, in his head, and we know that once you get into Guardiola's head, he can do strange things because it's almost like he's got so much power and so much ability with his squad that he overthinks things, and he tries to adjust when he doesn't need to adjust. So let's see. I think that if we start to put them under pressure, they can crack, and Guardiola can crack. Start selecting the wrong team, start saying the wrong thing, probably blow a top at his players. So we just have to put them under pressure and see if they can crack. Yeah. So it's still a long shot. We're second favourites, but it's great to see that we've left Chelsea, and so far we've left Chelsea in our wake. Chelsea fans, they love giving it the big one, bags of money and all that. I don't know if you remember that Harry Enfield, loads of money back in the
Yes,
90s.
yes.
So Chelsea fans love giving it a bit of loads of money. Abramovich splashing Abramovich's billions around with his gold-plated fittings on his yacht and their £100 million Lukaku. I mean, I was looking at Brozier playing for Southampton yesterday, and I mean, Southampton are playing brilliantly these days. They're like they play it very similar to Liverpool. Their players aren't as good, but they're 100% energy and pressing throughout the field. Very impressed with their manager and their coach. He's bounced back from a couple of really um, bad results, like a couple of 9-0s, and that they're a great team to watch. They're a team I always try to watch because they're so wonderful to watch. But they so yeah, Chelsea splashing it around all that money, 100 million quid on Lukaku, when they have a player on loan called Brozier who plays for Southampton, who's actually better than Lukaku in every respect that Lukaku does. He hasn't scored quite as many, but Lukaku scored hardly anything this season. But he's great on the break, and he's a very
He's
good
brilliant. Yeah.
yes, very good target man as well. So, typical Chelsea, they go and blow 100 million quid in the nightclub when they could have stayed at home and watched Netflix, and they'd have just as good a night, and they wouldn't have the regret. Oh.
But this is it. No, but that's it. Well, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's a point I've been making for years. Is that I think what Liverpool and FSG, if I can say it, have figured out is that there really is a pyramid. There's a pyramid of players, and the very, very pinnacle of the pyramid, the very, very tippy top point where you've got your Mbappe and your Haaland, that's out of our range in terms of we can't afford these players. We're not going to bother affording them because in that second tier, you
Mhm.
have players that range in value from Paul Pogba 100 million to N'Golo Kante for Leicester 8 million. And you've got world class players. Kante, of course, is better than Pogba. If anyone suggests otherwise, coponpodcast@gmail.com. Please email me and I will organize a fist fight, but a gentle one. Because I am a pacifist and I was scared of getting hurt. Or basically, I'll just email you back and tell you just how wrong you are. Because, of course, Kante's better than Pogba. So, of course, you can save yourself £90 million by shopping in the second tier and just finding the right player, which we've hopefully done with Luis Diaz. And it looks like we have. Because the other day I did a comparison between the Man City and the Liverpool attack, which I want to put on the screen now. Because for me, it's very, very, very telling. Talking about the race for the Premier League. I mean, if it's a bit of a race, I don't know. We're doing catch up. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to zoom in for those who
Yes,
might
I
not
can
be
see
able
it.
to see it. But yeah, these are the cost of the players. So Sterling 57 million compared to Salah 37 million, Grealish 100 million compared to Mane 34 million. This is all pounds, by the way, British pounds. Mahrez 61 million compared to Bobby 29 million. Gabriel Jesus 27 million, Luis Diaz 50 million. Bernardo Silva, I'm putting him as an attacker because he sometimes plays in the front three, and Jota 40 million, Taki 7 million, Divock 10 million. Cade Gordon 3 million and Oxlade-Chamberlain, because he also plays in attack sometimes, 30 million compared to the final few attackers. Of course, they have Foden and Palmer for free, but Ferran Torres cost them 28 million and Julio Alvarez, who won't feature this season, cost them 13 million. But the total for Manchester City on all of those attack players is 330 million compared to Liverpool, who have spent 240 million on our attack. We've got better players there. I would suggest. I would suggest our attack is deeper, and it's not just a suggestion. You can actually look at the stats. If I could bring them up on the screen, maybe by making this a little bit bigger or smaller. I don't know, technology. Yeah, there you go. So you could see some goals. This is before yesterday's game against Norwich. So Raheem Sterling has now moved on to 12 goals. Grealish has 3 goals. Gabriel Jesus has 6 goals. Ferran Torres had 3 goals before he mysteriously went to cash-strapped Barcelona for 55 million. Riyad Mahrez having a wonderful season, 16 goals. And Bernardo Silva, 8 goals. Compared to Liverpool, where Mo Salah's got 23, crazy. Sadio Mane, 10. Diogo Jota, 15. Bobby Firmino, 7. Harvey Elliott, 1. Minamino, 7. Divock Origi, 5. Cade Gordon, 1. And I didn't even bother to put Oxlade-Chamberlain on the list because, well, didn't have time. But he was, Oxlade-Chamberlain's got a couple of goals as well. So our total goals, even without Oxlade-Chamberlain, is 69. And without, the Fabinho rush, our total goals is 69 and our total assists 20. And so the goal involvements are 89 compared to just 70 for Manchester City, plus 3 from yesterday. So 73. We're still 16 goals ahead of them. So I put it to you, Fergus, that all of the talk about the squad depth of Manchester City being so much greater than Liverpool's is a complete myth, that Liverpool's attack is better. I would argue our midfield is maybe better as well. Our defence is certainly better than Manchester City's. And it just goes to show that FSG's approach is completely justifiable. It's completely right. You save yourself hundreds of millions because it's unnecessary to spend it. maybe the league table will tell you otherwise. I don't know. What do you think, Fergus?
Yeah, you make a very good point, and as you know, I've defended FSG for a long time. I've often said, contrary to most Liverpool fans, that FSG are the best club owners in world football, and I don't say it lightly. We came from a place where under Hicks and Gillette where the club was in danger of, well, I mean, it's of going to probably not folding, but it was in a very bad place, and they have been the smartest people in the room when it comes to owning a football club. They have spent money when they've had to. They've spent it wisely. Very few. I mean, I would have put Naby Keita in the sort of in the transfer blooper bin until recently, until he starts to turn in performances like today, and he can redeem himself. But apart from that, we've had very, very few. It's hard to think of any um, players that haven't proved to be value for money, at least. So FSG have been fantastic owners. They've been the best owners we've had since, was it the Moores family? That whoever the people who used to own Littlewoods pools, they were they owned Liverpool during the glory years of the 70s and 80s. But what FSG has done for this club, one new stand, a second new stand on the way, um, put in a world-class management team, not just Klopp, but behind the scenes as well, statistics, analysis, buying the best players in the world from under the radar. There's a great, I mean, we know that John Henry is a advocate of Moneyball. I'd recommend anyone who hasn't seen the movie or read the book to read it. To read the book, it's a great book, and it's a great movie starring Brad Pitt. And it's a great book and a great movie for nerds. It's not a book and a movie which has got car chases and guns and The Rock and beautiful women, but it does have lots of interesting nerd characters doing baseball stats, and it does have an appearance from John Henry at the end. I don't think it's actually him. I think it's an actor, but John Henry is the man who comes and hires Billy Bean, who's the player, who's the character played by Brad Pitt.
He tries to, but yes, no
Tries to hire
spoilers,
him.
no spoilers, no spoilers.
Okay,
Okay,
but
okay.
it's in okay. It's actually a factual story. So I mean, we're not. If you don't know the history, it's in the movie. It's the book is based on fact, and
It is, yes.
yes. So
Yes, it's a great book. Mhm.
in the baseball world, I mean, John Henry is one of my heroes in life. I don't know what he does in his spare time, but for the way he's built his businesses, his soccer club, football club, as in Liverpool, and the Boston Red Sox baseball. I don't think he's got an American football club, but for what he's done in sporting, he's transformed two of the greatest and most historical sporting clubs in the world and brought them back. Boston Red Sox hadn't won a World Series for decades. They had some kind of curse.
80 odd years. It was longer than us.
Exactly. And we hadn't won the Premier League or the First Division as it was in 30 odd years. So, for that alone, that man can rest easy at night. He can go to his grave, God rest him when he does, having lived a long and prosperous life, having transformed the lives of many, many people and made an impact in the world. So yeah, FSG deserve all the credit in the world for what they've done. And I think that all of those people who doubted FSG over the years, and there was Twitter accounts, and even today, it's still like a dirty word, FSG. But for what we've done, how we've competed against Man City, I suppose my final point is that if it wasn't for Man City and limitless oil wealth and Newcastle on the horizon, this Liverpool side would have dominated the league as much as that great 80s team did dominate the league in the 80s. and I, as a witness to that time, the football we're playing now is as exciting as that 80s team. And if it
Yeah.
wasn't for Man City not having a level playing field, spending hundreds of millions of pounds more in the transfer market, we would have dominated Europe. Well, I mean, Europe is a different story, but we certainly would have dominated the Premier League as much as Man U did back in the 90s and as much as Liverpool did in the 80s.
Yeah, it's really interesting answer because yeah, FSG they do deserve a hell of a lot of credit, and with this model, with shopping in the second tier but buying the right players, um, I mean, look at their record. I mean, they're doing extremely well by being so smart. So, I mean, all of our most top 10 most expensive signings ever have all been under FSG, not PSG. FSG, blimey, slow down, Brad, slow down. FSG have bought them all, and with the glaring exception of Christian Benteke, which is Brendan Rodgers's insistence to go against the mold to spend that money, they've all been marvelous successes in my view, with the jury out being on Keita because he hasn't proved it yet, but I think he will in St. Petersburg in the final this year. Yeah, Bobby Firmino, Mo Salah, Sadio Mane, just go through the list here, Jota, Fabinho, Benteke, Luis Diaz, Naby Keita, Alisson, and Virgil van Dijk. Like none of those broke any records apart from the top two, which have since been superseded anyway. And they've all been amazing, like truly incredible signings. Obviously, we don't know about Luis Diaz yet, but he looks like he could be as well. But anyway, let's move on for the last thing I want to talk about, Fergus, before we chip off is Inter versus Liverpool, because this is the next game. Inter Milan's record. I'll bring up their record on the screen. And if you're listening to this as an audio, all I'm sharing on the screen is a list from Soccerway of their matches. So if we have a look at Internazionale's recent matches, they've won 1, 2, 3, 4. They've won 5 of the last 8 matches in all competitions going back to the 9th of January. They've drawn 2. That was against Atalanta away, 0-0 in Serie A, and the last match against Napoli just yesterday, as we're recording this, so on Saturday, they drew 1-1 away to Napoli. They lost the derby against AC Milan back on the 5th of February. So that was just a week ago, basically. But in between, they had a great result beating Roma 2-0 at the San Siro. It's not going to be easy, this, because they're in pretty decent form. 1-5, drawn 2, lost 1 from the last 8. And there are loads of reasons why, even though I don't watch Serie A, like many people listening to this, there's a reason why we need to respect this team, because they're having a really good season. What are your initial feelings about Inter Milan away, which is our next match?
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, Inter Milan had a really good start to the season. They looked to be running away at the top of the Serie A, but since then AC Milan have caught them, beat them in the derby. So it looks like they've struggled in the bigger matches they've had this season. They drew against Napoli and lost against AC Milan. So I think, although I haven't watched Inter much this season, they've lost their best player in Lukaku. So and they have signed 1 or 2 new players, but I would expect, just based on the comparison between the Premier League and the Serie A, that Liverpool, is one of the top teams in the Premier League, should be able to overcome Inter over 2 legs. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, you'd have to fancy Liverpool, wouldn't you? Because we're so much more aggressive and so much better at pressing and so much more a complete team than you get in Serie A, really. I mean, we dominated Milan, didn't we, in both games against them? But I think Inter are a better team. I mean, Milan are shading it in Serie A at the moment. They've got 55 points compared to Inter's 54, but Inter have a game in hand. Milan have lost 4 of their 25 games, and Inter have lost only 2 of their 24 games. So I think they're in good, they're being good spirits. They'll be fairly confident, although of course, a loss and a draw in your last 2 um, is not so good. But yeah, there you go. So who would you play, Fergus? Who would you play? Because if we go back to Napoli versus Inter Milan in the last match, the lineup for Inter was Handanovic in goal, De Vries, Skriniar, who I really like, and Di Marco as a back 3, and then 5 in midfield from left to right. You've got Perisic, Chalhanoglu, Brozovic, Barella, who apparently is suspended against us, and Dumfries, Denzel Dumfries on the right. And then up front, they had Edin Dzeko, and you mentioned Lukaku being their best player, but I reckon Lautaro Martinez is got to be up there. He's an amazing attacker. So they look dangerous. Who would you play against them? Who would you play in defence, first of all? The same back 4 as today?
Yeah, definitely. You have to pick our first choice back 4 and Alisson in goal. I would probably go with the same lineup as today, possibly Thiago in place of Henderson. But
I would
having said that,
definitely do that. Okay.
yeah, I sometimes think we lose something when Henderson is not on the field. He has a personality and a drive that, he really is the leader on the pitch. So even when he's not having the best game, he shouts and he pushes the players. So we know that Thiago is a great footballer, but he's more or less an individual, and and leads by his playing rather than by his shouting. So guys, and then the front 3, I think my guess on who Klopp will play is he'll play his strongest lineup, and his strongest lineup tends to be the team that we picked today. So I wouldn't be surprised if he went with the same team, possibly with Thiago in place of Henderson. Henderson didn't look fully 100% fit today, so I think that's what he might go for.
So you wouldn't be tempted with Jota, even though he's bang in form.
I would be very tempted with Jota. I'm sure Klopp will be as well. But when they analyse that the midfield, that Milan will have Inter will have a good midfield, with Çalhanoğlu, Brozovic, and Barella. So one thing that Firmino does is he allows Liverpool to work the ball through midfield. So he can pick up a ball from Matip and turn on a sixpence, as they say, and start to play nice balls through to the attackers who are running onto them. So, Firmino really offers us an extra man in midfield, whereas Jota is very effective running with the ball. He can play simple build-up passes, and he can play a good through ball when he has the time. But he doesn't really have that link play that you get from Firmino. So, for me, I would start with Firmino in the attack and have Jota off the bench.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Yeah, I'd probably do the same, but I don't know. I don't know. It's very difficult, but yeah, my midfield, I play Keita on the left. Yeah, Fabinho and Thiago, same back 4. So it's just up front. Yeah, when I play Jota, I might. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I play Bobby to drop back and pull their defensive, centre back 3 apart a little bit, probably. Although with a 3-5-2, there are ways that we can, when we attack, get behind them. And I wonder if we're going to go all out, I would possibly play Harvey Elliott on the right of midfield, and Thiago on the left, maybe. And that way, Harvey Elliott can link up with Mo Salah, and Trent can get in behind. and put the crosses in for Diogo Jota to bang him in. But now I don't know. I'm getting too excited now, Fergus. I think I'm going to have to call
Yeah,
it a day because I'm going
I'd
to go
say,
out for a jog. And
yeah, well done. That's great. I just, you've got my creative thought process flowing now as well. I'd say Harvey Elliott for the home match,
okay,
because Harvey's such a great player to get the fans up on their feet. He's such a creative player. He's potentially our best player. He's got that much
big
ability.
shots. Okay,
Yes, he can beat a player just with a touch, and then he can knock a beautiful ball across the box and create a goal. And Harvey's ceiling is incredibly high. And the other, obviously, wild card we can throw in is Luis Diaz. Mane although he had 3 shots today, he did look a bit tired. If Mane's out of sorts, you can start Luis Diaz on the left. He's coming in with a great deal of momentum from his Porto season. So he'd have no fear going up against Inter Milan. He's played Champions League with Porto before, so that's the other wild card we could throw in is Luis Diaz up front on the left instead of Mane. But yeah, there you go. And I think we'll probably keep it tight in the away leg and throw everything at it in the second leg.
very interesting. I can't wait already, but we're going to go bouncing into that game thanks to a beautiful, beautiful result. It's so satisfying to have beaten Burnley on their own patch, on their own turf, quite literally, Turf Moor. And thank you so much for talking about it post-match with me, Fergus. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a great time. Until next time. Thank you, everybody,
Okay.
as well in the chats. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. My thumb's fallen off.